Today we're going to make an extra bougie, extra large vintage Santa Christmas door swag on a 36-inch pine base, thanks to a collaboration with TMI Gifts. You can find all of the materials that we're using today on tmigifts.com. And you guys, TMI Gifts was so generous that you will get 20% off your entire order. Just enter the code NIKI, NIKI20. Okay guys, I'm going to spin the camera around so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a swag without using deco mesh. Let's dive in. So I'm going to be adding my Santa face, which by the way, how stinking cute is he? Basically in the top third of our swag. And I'm going to add some greenery in before we add Santa into the swag base. So we've got this pretty wispy frosted winter greenery. We've got 2 glittery holly sprays with the pretty red berries. And we've got 4 winter fern picks. So we're going to start out with our frosted wintry picks. You can see there are 3 long branches on each one and a pretty substantially sized stem, which is too long for what we need, guys. And so I'm going to trim off about 8 inches of that stem. I'm just using my large heavy duty Work Pro cutters. And we're going to use the spine of our swag as an anchoring point. So if you look through the middle here, guys, it's got a really heavy duty wire spine that runs all the way down the base of our swag. And then also, by the way, a very nice metal hanger at the top. And we're going to use that spine as an anchoring point for our greenery, and this is why we're not going to be using deco mesh. And so I want to have 1 swag at the top and 1 at the bottom. So I'm going to just run this through the top. Basically my branches are running parallel right to the spine of my swag. And as you can see, I'm going to have that stick up about a foot. Give yourself some grace here, guys. You're going to have to fluff things around. And as I do that, I'm sure you can see here, I'm actually using those pine ties to help me secure the branches in. So if you can see here, I'm actually using our pine ties to secure these branches down into our swag. So at every branch, I'm just twisting our ties around those branches a couple of times so that they're flowing in the direction that I want them to. And then towards the bottom, it's just laying on the spine. I'm not going to tie that down yet because we're going to anchor our second pick going in the opposite direction. And we'll use the same ties for both of those center branches. And for the bottom, guys, I like my stems to hang below at least 10 inches or so if I can get away with it. Placing the second piece right on top. And guys, give yourself grace. It just takes a minute. So you can see here, I'm twisting those pine ties right around that branch so that it keeps that branch moving in the direction and maintaining that flow that I would like to see on my swag. Perfect. Okay, so I know it looks a little wonky, guys, but I want you to trust the process here. So we've secured this down at several points on each of those stems, so that's not going anywhere. All right, now that we've got those first 2 branches anchored down onto our spine, we're going to go ahead and add our Santa hat. Which, by the way, guys, how stinking cute is that? It's got this really nice hanger on the back. And I'm going to use a 20 gauge floral wire stem to secure this down. It's green. I'm just going to loosely fold that in half to identify that center point. And then we'll come into that hanger and run our floral wire stem right through there. I'm going to give it a couple of twists so it doesn't go anywhere. We're just going to position this in the center of our swag. It's in the top third, actually. I'm going to run those floral wire stems right through that swag base. Flip this over. Don't worry, it's resilient. And then I'm going to secure those wire stems right around the spine of our swag. As you can see, that green blends in nicely. Take your small snips, trim off those excess bits of wire, then grab those needle nose pliers and curl the ends under so it doesn't scratch your customer's door. And now we need to anchor him down in his beard as well. And there's not an anchoring point there. So let me show you the best tool you can use to anchor down metal signs. This is a 1.5 millimeter jewelry hole punch from Vintage. It's going to let me poke a hole right in his beard that's super teeny and discreet. So I'm just coming right here in the tip of his beard, and I'm just coming up about 1/2 inch, probably just 1/4. It just pops right through. Let me zoom in for you. And makes the tiniest smooth hole on Santa's beard, if you can see that right there, so that we can anchor him down. And we're going to use another 20 gauge floral wire stem. Again, just fold it into a loose V. Look how perfectly that just runs right through there, guys. We're still using green because we don't want to see the mechanics on the back of the swag. So I'm just holding Santa where I want him. I'm coming around to the back side, just like before, guys. Take those floral wire stems, twist them around the spine of your swag, 2 or 3 tight twists, then grab your snips, trim off the excess bits of wire, and then take your needle nose pliers to curl in the ends. Okay guys, Santa is officially secure. Let's take a look. How stinking cute is he? Time to make our bow. We'll be using 3 2.5 inch wide wired ribbon for our bows. We've got this really pretty black and white. We've got this red with green pom-pom trim, super cute. That's actually a velvet. And this adorable vintage Christmas ornament ribbon. We'll be making 2 loops and 2 tails of each of the 3 ribbons. Go ahead and grab some 6-inch zip ties for this next step. I'm going to start out with the red velvet ribbon, and I'll be making an 18-inch tail. Then I'll be making 2 6-inch loops. Once I've got my 2 loops of the red ribbon, I'll cut off my second tail at 18 inches. Then I'll grab a zip tie and secure that bow in the center and set it off to the side. Next up is the black and white ribbon. We'll be following that same process, making 2 loops and 2 tails. Those tails are going to be 17 inches. Those loops will be 5 inches, and we'll secure with a zip tie. Okay, time for the last ribbon. This time we'll be making 14-inch tails, 4-inch loops, 2 of each, and we'll secure with a zip tie. Now let's cut some ribbon tails. We're going to cut 1 strip of each of the 3 ribbon types at 34 inches. Then layer strips on top of one another and fold that ribbon stack in half to identify the center point. Okay, let's assemble our bow. We're going to put the red in the back, then add the black and white bow on top, but at an angle, and finally our vintage ornament going straight across. Then we'll pinch that set of ribbon tails, add that stack to the back of our bow stack, and secure tightly with a zip tie. We won't fluff our bow just yet, but I will make sure all of those ribbon tails are flowing downwards. Then I'm going to grab my swag and I'm going to add this at an angle underneath Santa's beard off to the right. Just find 2 neighboring pine ties and tie them around the center of your bow stack nice and tight. Now we can fluff out those loops. All I'm doing them is opening them up one by one until they're nice and full. Okay, let's work on those ribbon tails. I'm just going to one by one go through those tails and fold those ends under twice as narrow as I can. We're not going to do dovetail or angle trim. Now it's time to curl our ribbon tails. You guys, my secret weapon is an old cardboard insert from a 10-inch roll of deco mesh. All we're going to do is take that cardboard tube and one by one, take the tube and wrap our ribbon around, starting at the bottom and just curling towards the center of our bow. You can do this as many times as you need. If the curl is too loose, just recurl it. If it's too tight, just give it a tug. Okay, let's get those ribbon tails curled. Okay, you guys, let me show you how stinking cute those curled ribbon tails are on our swag. How stinking adorable is that? Oh my goodness. Let's move on to our next step. Before we add any more ribbon, guys, let's get these greenery stems added in. Remember, we have 4 of them, and we're going to use them to kind of frame Santa's face. So you're definitely going to need your hot glue gun ready to go. And our stems are pretty long here, so I'm going to cut them in half here, about halfway. At the halfway point, I'll be trimming those down. So we've got these 4 greenery stems. They are on wire stems, so I'm just kind of fluffing, and by fluffing, I'm just separating out, kind of opening up those stems so they're wispy. We're going to do that to all 4 of them, and then we're going to place them in an X pattern underneath Santa's head. So we're going to come in underneath on one side and the other, and then also below. So what I'm going to do is run a couple of inches worth of hot glue all along this stem, because we don't want this to go anywhere. Then I'm going to quickly come in behind Santa's head and run that stem right in there. Repeat the same process with the other 3 greenery stems, adding several strands of hot glue and securing them underneath Santa's head. Those greenery stems should basically look like the letter X underneath the Santa sign. So let's take a look at what this beauty is looking like so far, you guys. Adorable. Okay, on to the next step. Okay, guys, we need to add some ribbon at the top of our Santa head. So we're going to use some ribbon tails. So we're going to cut a single 13-inch strip of all 3 ribbon types. Again, you can see that I'm going to narrowly fold over the ends of each ribbon strip and not trim them. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a zip tie, and we're going to make a messy ribbon tail combination here. So I've got my black and white going horizontally across, and then I'm going to take my other 2 and just make an X pattern right on top of that black and white. We're not making any loops. We're not making any tails. Just going to add them just like that. Then I'm going to scrunch and gather right there in the center. I'm just eyeballing it. Flip that over. Secure that with a zip tie. I'm going to trim off that excess bit of zip tie. And actually come around to the back side, guys. And so this is what it looks like. Not fluffing it out. We're leaving it just like that. We're going to come over to some neighboring ties here on our swag above Santa's head. And we're going to twist those ties right around the center of our ribbon tail. And I'm just going to make sure that they're all laying where I want them. Working upside down here, guys. I'm just running my finger over those tails to give them a little bit of a curvature. Just a little bit of a whimsical bump there. Then we're going to take this black and white ornament and nestle that guy right in the center of that ribbon cluster. So make sure your ribbons are laying where you want them to. We're going to give 2 or 3 full dollops of glue squeezes on our ornament, and then we're going to nestle that in right in the center of that ribbon tail. I'm going to hold it for about 30 seconds to give it some good time to grab. Perfect. Now we're going to add in some of our glittery holly leaves. I'm going to actually break this stem down. I'm going to tuck one in underneath that ornament that we just added on. We'll anchor it down with some hot glue. That looks super cute, guys. I'm going to go ahead and trim off all of my holly clusters with my heavy duty cutters, and then we're going to sprinkle them throughout our swag. Hey guys, just a quick reminder that you can get all the items that we've used today at tmigifts.com. Don't forget to add the code Nikki20 for 20% off your order. I'll give you a screenshot in just a moment of all the items that we've used for your reference. All right, guys, this beauty is finished. Look how stinking cute that turned out.